If you struggle with repair after relationship conflict, this video is for you. Hey everyone, if you've been to my channel before, welcome back. And if you are new to the channel, I'm Ross and I'm an intuitive counselor. And today I wanted to chat with you about relationship repair. What to do when you have conflict and how to repair that conflict. And I guess the first thing to speak to is that not all conflict is going to be repaired. There's going to be situations where you feel like boundaries have been crossed to the extent that it's not okay to make that effort, or there's been a history, or you've determined that the behavior has simply been abusive and it's not going to change. And beyond that, there may be opportunities to repair when there is conflict. And that's not an easy thing to do. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and the person on the podcast shared this idea of the 5 T's. And the 5 T's are trust the trigger to teach. And so I really like that because I do believe that every relationship conflict is an opportunity to learn. It is an opportunity to grow, and it is an opportunity to look at yourself in the mirror and go, what part did I play in this conflict? And there's absolutely relationships that it is worth the effort to make that opportunity present to repair a relationship and to move forward. And my belief is that that repair can actually make the relationship stronger. But then the question becomes, how do we repair? Because the thing about relationships is that we are always, or a lot of the time, bringing our unconscious trauma to the table. And so we're reacting to things that we're not even conscious of. And if you watch my recent video series of the drama triangle, and I think it is a 3-part video series that's on my YouTube channel, you might actually find it helpful to watch that. We can easily find ourselves in the role of victim and being the recipient and creating drama in our relationships. And that is just recreating or reenacting the things that we've experienced that are wanting to come up to heal. And so that's where the 5 T's come in, because it's like when we're triggered, when we have a reaction, it's usually something in our past that is creating that trigger and creating that opportunity for learning. And in the work of, there's a book called The Presence Process, and he talks about upset being a setup. In other words, upset is something that comes up in the moment, but it's really a setup because it is helping us to learn something about the origin of that upset and where it really comes from and being with the emotions that are coming up around it. So the next piece, I guess, is what makes it so hard to create repair. And I think repair is challenging because we don't necessarily know to ask for what we need. We may have a fear around the repair not working. We may have a fear around taking responsibility for our side of the equation or our side of the street. And that can be really hard. And I know from experience that taking that effort when appropriate can be really rewarding, and it can surface things that you might not have been aware of, and it can share parts of yourself with the other person that they may not have been aware of. And in that sharing and in that opportunity, that's where the repair happens. And listen, we really, all of us, we have a need to be seen and a need to be heard. And by making the opportunity to have repair, we're creating an opportunity for those two things to happen. Now, what are the ingredients of repair? So the first thing is to create an invitation. One person in the relationship is going to have to take that step and say, hey, can we connect? Can we have a conversation about what happened? I'd really like to clear things up. And it's important that you do that in a time that works for you, where you can be calm and grounded and present. And then there's basically, like, 4 or 5 things that I would recommend you consider as you're going through this process. And the first one is to really, truly listen. Listen deeply. Listen to what the other person is saying. Listen for truth. Listen for acknowledgement. And that's not easy to do because you might not like what you hear. And if you truly listen, that will reveal the things that need to be talked about. The other thing is to acknowledge if someone is speaking of their pain and what the impact was in the conflict, acknowledge that pain. Acknowledge that that must have been really hard for you. That must have been challenging when that happened or when I said this. The other one is have gratitude, because gratitude is helpful, because being thankful for what is being presented, being thankful for an opportunity to witness somebody, to hear somebody, and then to hear the things that you may have contributed to that situation that you can then have a look at. And that's the next piece, which is own your impact. Take responsibility. And when you take responsibility, you're basically saying, I heard you, I appreciate the feedback, and I'm not going to do this again. Or at the very least, I'm going to look at what's going on in this dynamic so that I can do my best to change it. And the last thing I'll suggest is leaving the door open. In other words, as we step away from the repair conversation, other things might come up. There might be things that come into awareness that need to be revisited. So leave the door open to revisit and reshare what might need to be talked about for the sake of continuing that repair process. And keep the door open for beautiful things to happen. In this process of repair, like I said, it can strengthen our relationship. It can strengthen our relationship with ourselves. And most importantly, the repair can start to heal some of the things that we've experienced in our past that are showing up in the present. And when we have experiences that are different from our past experiences, it starts to strengthen our connection with ourselves and our connection with others. So I think I'll leave it there. Hopefully you got some insights from this video. If you like the video, please consider hitting like. If you know someone who might benefit from this topic, please go ahead and share it. If you're interested in the work I do as an intuitive counselor, you can visit my website, and the link is in the comments or the description of the video. That's it for now. I wish you unconditional love.